Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the
Saturday.
Saturday morning show.
It is the Saturday morning show.
At 9:30.
At 9:30, and it's on a Saturday. Look at us. We're like 3 for 3 here. We're doing great.
We're excited because we've got a very special guest for you this morning we're going to introduce shortly.
I love our guest. Love him. And you're going to love him too.
Yeah, and the only reason that we're having him in the studio with us is because he's a doctor and he's gone through a very careful procedure with us, putting special surgery grade stuff all over us.
He was like, this stuff lasts for 6 hours.
Right.
He's like, hold it, you mean I'm running around my little bottle of alcohol?
Probably last 5 minutes. That's why you keep putting it on every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm putting it on all the time. He's like, this lasts for 6 hours. You use it in operations, in the operating theater.
Yeah,
and,
this is from the medical world.
He's like, before we leave, I'm going to put it up your nose. And it's like,
yeah.
Where are you?
We are germ-free.
We are completely germ-free, yeah.
But we're still keeping our social distance.
Many of you know him. His name is Dr. Harold Bafitis. And many of you, if you've been with Roddy and I through our John Maxwell team events.
Oh, yes. The workshop afterwards.
Yeah.
He's been a guest many times.
The Physiology of Fear.
Yeah.
Fantastic teaching,
really
especially from kind of a doctor who's a surgeon talking about the physiology of fear. But it
has real gravitas when it's a doctor, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does. And, what makes him so, relevant in his voice is here's a guy who has gone through, he's had to be in school most of his life, right? So here's a guy that goes through regular college, goes into medical school, graduates, goes through residency to become a doctor, then goes into plastics, goes through that whole thing, then goes on to be into reconstructive surgeon. He's been in school. He's had to do 20 years of school. I don't know, my goodness.
And like years and years of operations.
Yeah, absolutely. All around the world too. Yeah. And then
Operation Smile. We should have dug out some of those pictures
honestly,
of the difference you can make to a child's smile.
And
he
child
has.
in
Africa or
But what makes so he's got all of that knowledge, right? But then he also has he's like so into like holistic,
right? And the mind.
Yeah, I'll call him up. I'm not feeling good. I'm waiting for a prescription. He's like, okay, I want you to go get oregano oil. I want you the blueberry extract.
Put this between your toes.
Can't I get a pharmaceutical? No,
I want drugs.
No, I don't want to give you drugs. I want to give you something holistic. Zinc, echinacea, vitamin C. So a lot of you guys know I give you like little health tips. A lot of those like holistic health tips come from Harry.
Yeah.
But then also on top of that, he has done all that you and I have done on, through just kind of how we think, how we feel, how thoughts control, our entire lives, how we attract things into us. He's done all kind of the universal study.
Yeah.
He's an anomaly.
He's kind of a magnetic personality as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a part of our kid's life, of course, and he was talking to
everybody knows. Yeah, Dr. Harry. Like Holly's two little boys. Dr. Harry.
And so he was talking to Amelie, and he said, what are you going to do when you grow up? Amelie's 14, and she's talking about being a writer. He said, you should be a doctor. You can have big influence if you're a doctor or a surgeon. He was talking to her about that, and then like a week later, somebody asked Amelie, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "I'm not sure. I might want to be a writer. I might want to be a surgeon."
There you go.
That's the influence you can have.
But I think, I think also what he does is, he's going to be able to share with us the real deal, but do it in a way that doesn't, the purpose of this is to inform, not to scare the hell out of people, right? We made a commitment this week when we saw kind of the big shift over the weekend. I think it was Monday. We said, the world was definitely, we were now from cyclical change, we were stepping into structural change. And Roddy and I said, okay, we needed to find who we are, we needed to find the industry we're in, and we need to find out, what is our voice. And we said that we were going to be a community that was a safe place for honesty, for people to share, their honest feelings about what was going on with no judgment. Right. We said that we were going to be a community that offered you distractions because you're going to be stuck at home, many of you, and we wanted to give you fun, relevant, interesting things that could distract you, but things that were fun and educational. And then we also just said that we were going to be just a river and not a reservoir. We were going to just pour resources into you.
Right.
We're not going to charge anything for the next 8 weeks. Everything we're doing, we're giving away, and so we've been trying to do programming that does that. And I think this
Hopefully this is the first of several special informative guests we're going to have going forwards. Probably most of them virtually by phone or whatever. But
but since Harry is here, and because he's a doctor and we feel safe him coming here, he understands all the protocols. we felt
Yeah.
it was okay for us to bring him in. So we're really excited to have him in, and this is going to be a great show. So let me just, I want to make sure that we frame this right, because this show is going to be informative. And so when you're informing people, sometimes the facts are scary, right? Sometimes the facts are scary, and it could build up anxiety. And the purpose of this is not to do that. It is, I think the first step to a cure for anything is awareness, right?
Right.
And so
And willingness.
To accept it, right?
Yeah. And do
deal
the
with
work.
It. Yeah, and do the work that's necessary to do it. It's a good point.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that,
and actually the resources to be able to do the work, and the teams of people to do it, all of those things.
and hopefully this show gives you a little bit of all of that. It gives you some insight, gives you some understanding, expands your awareness is what really is going on. I know many people are saying, "Oh, this is overblown. There's only we've had 60,000 people die from the flu, and only 2,000 people have died from this or whatever." They look at the numbers, and that's all well and good. The problem is that there's something unique about this particular virus, is that it's so contagious and it goes so fast. The fear isn't the virus. The fear is that it overwhelms our medical system all at one time, and then you have to. My stepfather, as you know, has been in the hospital. Are we okay? Okay. Has been in the hospital,
now.
and he was on a ventilator, and we were kind of being asked from the hospital about a DNR because he's on a ventilator. He's 88, and he just had a heart attack. What is his what's his lifelong expectancy? And I think they're getting concerned that, ventilators are, and we don't want to be in a position in this country where we're rationing healthcare and making decisions versus, who lives or who dies. So, trying to lower that curve is really critical right now, so that we just don't overwhelm the system all at once.
Flatten the curve by social distancing. That's our mantra.
And stay at home, right? Stay at home. And,
social distance.
Yeah.
Why don't you? You were just reading something at the beginning of.
This is great. Well, many of you guys know, my hobby is the stock market. I love the stock market, and I subscribe to a company called Motley Fool. That they give stock advice, and you pay to be a client, but great stuff, very informative. And I got an article. Let me just give kudos first. This came from Morgan Housel, Housel. Housel. Sounds right.
Housel. Housel. I don't know.
Yeah,
actually.
Morgan Housel, and it was published on March 17th, 2020. Through one of their services. And again, I couldn't say enough about Motley Fool. They are fantastic. They've been fantastic. You know what they've done is, if you're a client of theirs, they have done a 24-hour-a-day call-a-thon.
Oh, right. Because it's changing like second by second.
So you could call in any time of day and talk about your portfolio. Right. And it's just like a talk show, 24 hours a day with their top advisors for free if you're part of their client. I thought, wow. I mean, I don't know how they're doing it, but it's amazing. And then they're taking the best the most asked questions and then distilling those down. They're just a fantastic service. So this is from them. But they start with showing you a graph, and this graph is really cool. And put it up here, Roddy, because this is the real gross domestic product per capita. Look at that. For the last 170 years. Look at that. That's amazing. So this goes back, it looks like 1850 to 2010. And we know after 2010, we know where that curve goes. It goes straight up, right? I mean, it went huge because the stock market rally and the income growth that happened after the financial crisis. But here's the interesting point. Morgan writes, do you know what happened during the years that this chart represents?
Okay,
so here's the chart. So what's happened? He says, or Morgan says, I don't know if it's a he or she, 1.3 million Americans died while fighting 9 major wars.
Wow.
In that time. 4 U.S. presidents were assassinated.
Oh, my goodness.
675,000 Americans died in a single year from one flu pandemic.
Wow.
675,000.
675. 2/3 of a million people died
in one year
from the flu.
Yeah. 30 different natural disasters killed 400 Americans. Okay?
Right.
So not like 30.
Yeah.
Each one of those had killed 400.
Oh, I see.
Each one of those disasters killed 400. So we've had
30. That's like one every
Imagine
week or
that.
2 weeks. Yeah.
So there's been 30 over this 170 years.
Oh, okay.
Over this 170 years. There's show the graph again. So you can see that all these things have happened. 1.3 million Americans died. 4 U.S. presidents were assassinated. We had a year where there were 675,000 Americans died. 30 different disasters, each killing at least 400 Americans. During this time, there were 33 recessions that lasted accumulation of 48 of these years.
Oh my goodness.
Think about that. The stock market fell more than 10% from a recent high 103 times. The stock market stocks lost a third of their value at least 13 times. The annual inflation exceeded 7% in 20 of those years. And the word economic pessimism appeared in newspapers at least 29,000 times, according to Google. And are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
We're ready.
Our standard of living increased 21-fold.
Oh, wow. But with all that going on.
With all
despite
that
all of those.
Yeah. So,
My
this
goodness.
should give us.
Yeah.
This should give us.
We're very resilient, I guess.
We are as a people. History's on our side here. So we're look. We're aware of I think I'm really proud about how you and I have been kind of communicating this. I mean, we're taking this pretty seriously at home and just in how we're running our office. This is serious stuff, and we're not trying to minimize that or play it down. We're calling it for what it is. And we're encouraging people to follow the guidelines. Do what's right. If you've got influence over a millennial child, ask them to stay at home because they're spreading the disease. And recent reports show that they're getting the disease, and some young people are ending up in hospitals with this thing. So nobody's invincible. I think the World Health Organization yesterday put out a press conference saying, "Look, young people, you are not invincible to this.
Right.
Be careful." So I think we've done a good job of balancing. The reality from this and the fear and the panic and the real emotion that I think everybody could feel and does feel at different times, with also just the hope and optimism of we're going to get through this. And we are going to get through this. So speaking of hope and optimism, tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, John C. Maxwell is going to be doing
noon.
Eastern. Noon Eastern on the John C. Maxwell Facebook page. We're going to be sending out an email with a link to that. But he's going to be doing a message for 3 days, leading through crisis and then overcoming adversity. But it is really a message of hope that John's going to deliver. So
definitely want to tune into that.
And what I would do is I would send it out to all of your employees, your staff, your clients, your vendors. I'd watch it with your kids.
Yeah, John is safe, isn't he? For any audience. He will charm and entertain and educate.
You bet.
Any audience.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter how cynical you are or where you're from or what you're interested in. It's a no-brainer.
And he can communicate to any age.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you've got kids, got little kids.
Yeah,
they'll get
our
John.
Kids love it.
John generally says, when he communicates, he puts the cookies on the bottom shelf, so everybody, there's something for everybody. So he's going to be doing Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So make sure you see that. Yeah. And then we are going to do a sharing call tonight. I'm going to do that tonight at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, are you?
Yeah, I think
it's 6 o'clock unless someone posts magically
somebody puts
in the
somebody
comments.
different in the comments. Whatever Susan, Holly, Heather, or Jen say.
Whatever the schedule said.
Whatever the schedule says, that's what time I'm going to be here. But we are doing those. We'll do that tonight.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Dun dun dun. The empowered women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
very smart men.
Very smart men.
Who choose to join them.
Who choose to join them are going to join in, and they're going to have just a great conversation and just share some of the stuff that some great ideas that they've through their networks have learned to do and how to manage, and what's going on.
Hear from the women for a change.
And hear how they're running, our company.
Yeah.
In the middle of a crisis.
They've got the difficult job, really.
They
we just
really
sit
do.
here and chat, and they make everything work.
And they do. And they're managing, making sure that, our funds are getting, that we're taking care of our vendors, that we're, meeting our financial responsibilities and doing the forecasting for that. Cheryl Fisher, thank you for keeping us financially sound and solvent. But, they're managing our database, everything.
Everything.
And all the communication.
Whole business.
The whole business. So, this would be a great show those 3 shows. You know, if you've got a company and you've got an admin team, this would be a good admin team to watch. These are pros.
Yeah.
These are pros. So, yeah. What else?
I think that's it in terms of notices. So we've got the summit tomorrow. We've got John at 12 noon.
Yeah.
The Empowered Women. Sharing call tonight.
So you and I really aren't on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with the Empowered Living community, really.
No, we're
no, we are. Sunday night with Josh.
Oh, Sunday night with Josh.
Sunday
yeah.
at 7 p.m. with
Eastern.
Josh Finley.
Yeah.
7 p.m. with Josh Finley. That's going to be epic. Josh is, talk about a great communicator.
He really is good. Yeah.
Just a great communicator. I'm really
wealth of information.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear, you know, how things are going, because he's, you know, as you know, part of a pastor team in a huge congregation. I forget how many people he said they had, 20,000
something
a weekend.
like that. Yeah, huge.
6 campuses or something.
Yeah,
huge. Be really interesting to hear, you know, what's going on there.
Yeah.
But so you and I are on with Josh Sunday night.
7 p.m. on Sunday night.
But other than that, we're really not with you guys
until the 25th, I think, isn't it?
Where we start
Man's Search for Meaning
for free.
Yeah.
And so that'll start at 10:30 in the morning. Are we doing that at 10:30 in the morning?
I don't know. Did we pick a time?
I think we did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
10:30.
I think it's 10:30. So
Unless,
March 25th until April 1st, every day, Roddy and I, for 8 days in a row, are going to be teaching Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl. It is
others.
But it is based on his work, but it is a gem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
The book is absolutely. Our message won't be heartbreaking. Our message will be uplifting. But, you know, especially, you know, in times like this, it's really easy for you to lose focus on your purpose.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. Yeah.
One of the mantras that I've been driving home is this idea of hold your image. For years, I've been saying that. And, you know, it's just the simple, easiest, hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
Especially when, you know, in normal times, there's distractions for our awareness and holding our image. But in times like this, it's even harder for us to hold our image. And, you know, before the show started, Dr. Harry and I were talking about, you know, kind of what happens in isolation is this burnout. We're going to ask him about that. But, you know, being able to hold your image through all of this and hold on to your purpose.
The easiest thing in the world is to think thoughts that are suggested by the things around you, isn't it? If you see disaster, to think disaster. The most difficult thing in the world is to think thoughts that are contrary to what you're seeing around you. But that's how you create a new life. That's how you create a different life. So hold your image is a wonderfully simple way of trying to keep top of mind what it is you want to bring about in your life.
Yeah, it's a present tense action to hold on to the future that you're creating. And, you know, at any given time, we are in our thought life. We are living from our thought life from the perspective of being, you know, a historian, a reporter, or a futurist. So many people live their thought life and their thinking life and really the decisions and behavior from what happened in the past.
Right.
And so, you know, they drag the past into the present day and then into the future.
Yeah.
Other people will live their thought life from the present day moment as though they were a reporter reporting, you know, and that's the way it is, you know, March 21st, you know, 2020, and that's it, you know. I think what we want to do is we want to craft the vision that we want for our lives right now and then think from the future. So we want our thinking to be the futurist. We don't want to be the historian. We don't want to be the reporter. We want to be the futurist.
Yeah.
We want to be thinking, you know, what's going on after this? I know, you know, one of the things I'm working on, and I know you're working on with our clients is, hey, this is going to end, and when it ends, you know, what is your ramp up? And I think we're going to put together, you know, probably a jumpstart package, Empowered Living for you. We're gonna put together a package of people that can help you when this thing begins to make the turn, and I don't think we're long from that. But when it does, how do you jumpstart? Because remember, you're talking about getting the world's largest economy roaring back up. You know, getting things back open, getting restaurants and hotels and airplanes, and getting, you know, conferences back going. And it doesn't just happen overnight. It's going to roll across. But you want to be ahead of that, don't you? So you want to be ahead of that when it happens, and so you need to be ahead of that now in your thinking. To
capitalize on this time. We've all been given this kind of gift of time of
it really is
to do something with, haven't we? Rather than just worry or panic or whatever.
The kids have probably had, you know, more time with you guys than
well, certainly Susan's.
Yeah. Well, good. So, are we ready for our special
drum roll?
Our special guest? Our message of awareness, facts, truth, and hope.
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay. So I'm gonna put a slide up. COVID-19.
COVID-19. We bring in Doctor, and through the magic of technology, when we come back, our doctor will magically appear.
We'll be teleported in.
And ta-da! So we'll see how I
stop banging your leg against the table.
Susan. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
All right.
The Greek doctor, how are you?
Well, we're all here together, and I want you to know that we have at least a meter between.
Yeah.
Everything's been wiped down.
We've all been cleaned.
Everybody's clean. I gave them some things that we use in surgery that last for, as he said, 46 hours. So we are living what you all should be living. Basically, keeping that distance, and this is our home.
Yeah.
Away from the routine.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because let's say, like one of the things I do as soon as I leave here and I go home, like as soon as I walk in the door, I'm like kind of stripping down and I'm going right in the shower and I'm cleaning off and I'm getting clean, right? And I'm making sure my clothes go right into the washing machine and they're done. But for people who are at home, if they're with, if you've been at home or if you've been following the protocol, obviously you don't have to keep he's not keeping 6 feet away from Susan. But in your home, if you've been with that person, you're good.
Well, I do try not to touch any of the kids if I've been out or in until I've come back and wash my hands.
Yeah.
What I think the most efficacious way of going through this quote-unquote social isolation, if you're hunkered down with your family, as tough as it may sound, avoid hugging, avoid that intimate space where droplets can go. We have done this kind of elbow bumps like this to people, and that's something that we can do with our loved ones, teach our children as well, and that's significant. We don't want to have those droplets that can travel through air at least 3 feet, 1 meter, get into the nose. There are other things that we can do that we could talk about that are significant, and I would agree with you. We're a can-do society. We're a can-do world based on where we've been, and we get through this, and we will get through this. We are getting through this, and there's wonderful things that I'd like to share that's going on today in terms of the research for this and what's going to happen. So thank you for.
Well, thanks for coming.
I mean, you have to be pretty busy. I mean, you're on call. You're on staff at how many hospitals here in Palm Beach County?
I'm on staff at 4 hospitals and a surgery center, and our own office is an approved surgery center as well.
So I would imagine you're going to be in demand if they need you. You're on the list to be called up as if things get bad.
I've relayed to some of the hospitals that I'll be available, as all of us that have been called, in terms of if that comes to that. Yes, and our office is open, and for people that want to contact me, we could go through the website, and I could get to them. And so for our own patients that we have, so that's important.
We're hearing this whole thing. What is it? Slant the curve, or what is it?
Flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve.
Distancing. That's one of the slides we're going to come on.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to ask, when we talk about flattening the curve, is the real risk here is to. My understanding of this is that we overwhelm kind of the healthcare system all at once. And so what we're trying to do is, it's not about less people getting it, it's about maybe the same number of people getting it, but over a longer extended period of time so the health system can manage it.
We're on the steep side of the curve. That means we're heading here. If we can, as you say, flatten the curve, social isolation, some of the things we'll talk about, then the amount of viral load will spread out over time, and we won't overwhelm the resources that we have. Right. Make no doubt about it, we in this country have ample resources to date. There's no shortage right now of ventilators that people think. There's no calling out of the National Guard to date. There's no need to panic, and this is not death by diarrhea. We don't need to go get toilet paper more than we've had before. So
why do you think people are hoarding toilet paper? What's going on? I saw somebody buy 24 cases of toilet paper. There's like 50 rolls in a case.
Right, and they live on their own.
It's the new currency. But I mean, there's no reason for that. There's plenty of the food supply is intact. All the major outlets and Walmart and Costco, they all state that they're every day there's food coming in
kind,
and supplies.
right? I mean, be kind to people.
Don't hoard. Yeah. Don't get into the, as you said, the intensity, the burnout stage, especially when you're going to be, at home.
Talk about that burnout, because I think that's very
isolation.
interesting.
You mentioned you said that your biggest concern right now isn't necessarily the virus. It's that what stops people from flattening the curve, doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is staying home, is isolation burnout. What does that mean?
Well, when you talk about burnout in general, you have components of this, and this is science. This is not fiction. This is proven in behavioral science. You start getting cynical. Everything bothers you. You start talking about things as if the worst case scenario will happen. You get compassion fatigue, which is something that's significant. We don't want to look to what we can do to assist other people. We look to what we can do to assist ourselves. That is not the way to go.
So you said we get bored with the best practices that we've started doing.
So over 5 or 6 days,
we're like,
you get complacent.
Yeah.
Just like, what's the use?
Yeah.
Empowered living is not about compassion fatigue. It could progress into emotional burnout, where then you don't even feel. You just start, you start becoming a victim to rumors and a victim to anything that comes into you, and then you get chronic anxiety and low life satisfaction. Those are the components to burnout on any level. And beware, as Paul said and Roddy reinforced, awareness is the key. And if you're aware of what's going on, you're aware that, I'm starting to feel cynical, I'm starting to feel like I don't want to really assist anybody but myself, I got to go get whatever I can for me, that is the time to go. I got to step back, I got to realize that we're okay, there are steps to take, and there are other people involved beside myself.
One of the very first lessons, Roddy, the first lesson we taught was tithing. Right here. I mean, when we saw what changed on Monday, the first lesson we taught to this community was the lesson on tithing, because I think if you're going to live an empowered life, being a channel through which God can express himself is the highest calling. All of us, I mean, all of our purpose, we all have different purposes, but all of us have one common purpose, and that is to be a channel through which God expresses himself. And certainly by, like you said, having compassion and empathy and understanding and caring and loving for our fellow man, this is the time where you could rise to that.
Right.
This is a time to reach out to people that are feeling this anxiety and say, hey, why don't we take it a step down? And I do this almost daily with some of our patients and some of my relatives. I mean, I'm Greek. That's a whole culture.
But you have to do it on the phone, though.
You guys worry
that's
yourselves.
That's a whole culture.
Everybody else worries themselves sick. Greeks and Italians worry themselves to death.
Exactly. So, I mean, for all of us to be aware of this and to realize what can happen and share that with other people. And as I said before, and as Paul illustrated with that graph, we are a can-do society. This is something that we'll get through. This is the beginning, and it doesn't mean that it's going to get to the point where we're going to be isolated for the rest of our lives at all. And there are some good things out there that are occurring, and we could talk about as well. Some of the things that are on the pipeline right now.
You know what? Good.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about why it's called COVID-19.
Let me just ask one other question before I get to that, because I think one of the things I think is going to happen is I think we're going through absolute structural change, right? This isn't a cyclical change. I think some of the changes that we're making to our daily lives are now going to be with us forever. And I think one of the most positive structural changes may be the change to the FDA, and it may be the changes to how we've become way too litigious as a society. I mean,
the bureaucracy.
They sent Mike Pence, or the Vice President of the United States, they sent him to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to the 3M plant, and 3M said, look, we've got all of these respirators that are absolutely safe. We believe they're fully safe for the medical field, but they're used in construction only, and we don't want to give them to the government because we could be sued if doctors use them. And so I guess
the face masks.
Yes, so apparently I think President Trump was able to negotiate and pass through Congress a law that said you're not going to be able to sue them for that,
right,
and got that cut, and then like 35 million masks became available. I mean, You've been practicing medicine for how many decades now? Like 3 decades? How many years?
Just 30 years.
Just
August 19th was 30 years.
30 years.
Okay. I don't want him to get into my age at all.
30 years. In your 30 years, have you ever seen drugs that are now being tested for this thing, or the process for have you ever seen it move faster?
No. In this country, the bureaucracy of the FDA has slowed down the progression testing of drugs, and what we're seeing now is going beyond those guidelines. Although they may be important for us, but on a whole, they've slowed things down because there's some huge advances made, for example, with stem cells outside of this country that I've seen, that I'm involved with, huge advances. And at least now we've bypassed some of the animal studies to go into human studies, for example, for a vaccine for this, which is huge.
Yeah.
We're looking at drugs, antiviral drugs that were used in Ebola to be tested for patients. We're looking at chloroquine.
Yeah, there's some great stuff on that.
That it's anecdotal, but it's also potential for huge treatment option, and it's safe. It's been around 45 years. It's quinine, and it seems to be taking traction right now because the government is going to, at least through Bayer, produce a whole bunch. I attempted to get this for our patients recently, all sold out.
Wow.
So it's gotten in there. Again, no study shows that it's prophylactic, although...
What does that mean?
That you could take it to prevent it. So as this comes out, it could be a viable treatment. Nobody knows, but it could be a viable treatment. And I know this administration is pushing it forward in terms of getting it out to everybody. Yeah. I know across the country, every pharmacy and even compounding pharmacies that we called yesterday, they're all out. They're all out. They're all out. Safe drug, been around for a long time for children, for adults, treated malaria, treats amoebas in the gut.
Sure.
And now could keep that virus from adhering and also kill it.
It's great news. Yeah, I mean, I think I saw that the anecdotal reports is that I was watching an oncologist from New York who said 100% cure rate in patients within 6 days of using this with the Z-Pak. What's the Z-Pak?
Erythromycin.
Yeah.
Yeah, to prevent any secondary bacterial contamination. Again, these are all anecdotal, means there are no case control studies.
What does anecdotal mean?
Anecdotal means, well, in 4 or 5 patients, we've seen this result. And a lot of times, when I talk to you through the Maxwell Tribe, it's always, we're talking about evidence-based medicine. That means it's been proven in studies. Everything I shared about the fatigue, the burnout phase, that's evidence-based. But anecdotal means we've seen it in little groups. Again, we've always come anecdotally to evidence-based through trials. I mean, that's how we developed antibiotics. There,
it starts anecdotal.
So we're starting now, and this could be the advent of how we treat multiple diseases. Coronavirus is basically the 7th version of this disease, and we've had
7th version.
What
were some of the others as deadly, or is this?
Well, we've had SARS, which is sudden acute respiratory distress syndrome. We've had MARS, Middle East acute respiratory distress syndrome, and those are still out there.
Right.
Those are coronaviruses. We have 4 versions that give you the common cold, which are out there right this second. The flu is and this. Now, as you mentioned,
so it's a different strain or something, is it?
Yeah,
or it's
COVID
or mutated?
in December in the Hunan province of China, we have a report of pneumonia and a viral outbreak. I would state probably came before then, but December is when it started. December of 2019.
Wow.
Right.
COVID meaning Corona CO, virus, disease, COVID-19.
Right.
And when they say novel, it's just a new version. Novel is new. A new version of a virus that's been out there, that's there right now as well. And so imagine the future. Imagine that we're going to have a vaccine. They're testing humans today.
I know, today.
Which is incredible. They bypass the animal things. But that's still 8, 9, 12 months away. But I would predict that your flu shot in the next several years will include this COVID-19. This may be the beginning of the end of what we know of really bad viruses.
Who should get flu shots? So I'm sure some people.
Anybody at risk. Anybody at risk.
Yeah.
Anybody at risk. That's in terms of social groupings. We're all at risk for that. We all are involved in a lot of. I've had my flu shot recently,
Me too.
and I think these measures are important. People that have immune deficiency, you need to look at that plus or minus, because they're at risk for many things, and that flu shot may bring them over the edge.
Right.
So I would hold off on people like that.
Yeah, so always look, although Dr. Harry is a close personal friend, he's not giving you medical advice here. Go see your own doctor.
Yeah.
Don't take.
Before you get the flu shot, you want to go and research.
We are all talking. We are all. Let me just cover us so we don't end up in. We are all talking about generalities. This is not specific to any one person.
Yeah.
Go see your doctor. Talk to your healthcare professional.
Just like you should talk to your financial advisor
and everybody else, psychologist, psychiatrist.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyways, that's a great way. Thank you for naming it, because I didn't understand why it was COVID-19, why it was novel. When they started saying novel, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought,
so it's just a mutation of it, is it, presumably?
It's another version, another iteration of it. Viruses mutate.
Well, I know you put together a presentation for us, and I know you and Roddy had some time today to kind of do that. Do you want to take us through the slide deck? And so, again, the purpose of what we're about to share with you is to educate, to inform, hopefully to encourage you, that you can see that you've got some great thinkers around. I mean, you've been working with doctors all around the world and talking about what this is. And
I've been in contact with my colleagues literally in Greece and in the UK and even in Sweden. And
Ukraine too. I mean, I know.
I was scheduled to go to the Ukraine, and people are watching. That didn't work out, but that'll happen.
Yeah.
In the future. So yes, there's an international community. Nobody's immune to this. It's in 162 territories and countries all over the world.
But the best doctors in the world, and all of the medical field is. You guys are. I mean, do you feel like the medical field, the medical professionals? Do you feel like everybody's on top of this? Is there any part of this that you think somebody's not doing all they can do? I mean, do you feel the government is doing all they can do? Do you think the public sector is doing all they can do? The private, business sector? Do you think everybody's playing full out on this?
It is coming together more in the last 2 weeks in this country. It's coming together more than I've ever seen in anything in my life. Wow. And I'm sure in all our lives, where out of nowhere, we've come to the point where we are now mandated to have social distancing. We're mandated to just take out food, and this is all good.
Yeah. Well, they closed the beaches, didn't they, yesterday at 5 o'clock?
But it's so good to see. I saw a little bit of a report from the governor of New York, Cuomo. He's a Democrat. Trump's a Republican, and they were working together, getting along, and solving the problem, and getting it done. I mean,
they come from the same place in Queens.
Yeah.
So
this could be a really good turning time. So why don't we go to the slide deck? And let's get some. So COVID-19. Give us just the breakdown one more time.
Right.
About
these slides come from.
I think it's important to name the enemy, right?
Yeah. That is so. COVID-19 coronavirus in 2019. Coronavirus disease 2019. These slides come from Ryan Belford, who's a regional vice president, the United States for Medtronics. Basically, they make ventilators. So it came from the World Health Organization, and this is what their reps got to see, and it talks about the virus. How interesting is it? Today is March 21st, January 21st. 2 months ago to the day, the first case in the United States in Seattle occurred. 2 months to the day.
And look how the world's changed.
Look how the world has changed in that time. So this is a unique time.
We've been saying, Roddy and I have been saying, a day is a month.
Yeah.
Every day is like a month.
Yeah.
With what's gone on.
How fast things are progressing here, both in, the disease growing and in our response to flatten the curve, guys. Flatten the curve.
That's the most important thing, to get rid of that steep side and flatten it out so we don't overwhelm the resources. And I think 2 weeks, at least at this point, to be inside is not much to ask.
Yeah.
At all. Not much to ask.
So what's going on here? This is a normal healthy lung.
A normal healthy lung. This just shows what occurs. The right lung has 3 lobes. The left has 2. We have the alveoli, which when you macro it all the way down, these are the cells that filter and get rid of the degradation products which go into CO2. They get exhaled. Oxygen is what is inhaled, 21% oxygen. It goes and it feeds our cells, feeds our brain, our liver, all our organs, and they are the area that in the lung that we're concerned with.
So a healthy lung, the little alveoli, air comes in, oxygen goes into the blood, carbon dioxide goes out of the
It's
blood.
like a membrane
And then when
that
you
goes in
exhale-
and out. Exactly. And it's healthy. It's not inflamed. There's no barrier to the diffusion of oxygen and CO2.
So this is what happens when you've got someone's infected.
And this is an example in red of an inflamed lung. And what happens is these viral particles go in through your nose. We can talk about how to prevent some of that. Go in through your nose. They go into the nasopharynx where the nose meets the throat. And then they track down into the bronchi and bronchioles, the smaller areas, into the lung, into the alveoli, and they inflame everything. It's like a burn. And with a burn comes literally fluid.
Like a blister, when you get a burn, you get a blister with fluid underneath.
That's your body attempting to heal it. And it produces extracellular fluid with that, and the antibodies and things. It's a reaction. That fluid is what is causing the alveoli to stop their function of diffusing oxygen and CO2.
So they can't do what they normally do.
Exactly, and that's when you start getting into this phase where you can't breathe and you can't diffuse, and then eventually goes into mechanical ventilation to help assist what your lungs can't do.
So tell me, you said in through the nose to the back of the throat, and you said what would be some of the things you said we could do? Because Roddy and I definitely we do the
neti
every
pots
day we
on.
do the neti pots every day.
I rinse
that's
with
not bad. That
mouthwash
sweeps
and
it out.
gargle, but he says that-
these
What
are,
can you put? Are there some?
one of the things that hasn't been talked about that I've been doing, as you know, and I've shared it with you in the past, when I go down some of my mission trips on a plane, I put ointment in my nose.
I put Neosporin antibacterial at my nose.
I would put not Neosporin because that's neomycin consensitized. I put bacitracin, polysporin, or you could get a prescription for Bactroban or Muciperin in your nose with a Q-tip, only the white part of the Q-tip. That keeps those viral particles from penetrating into the nasal pharynx. It's worked for me for years where people
I
been
do
sick
it all the
around
time
me.
when I travel.
And
you gave me
with a
I
Q-tip.
think you gave me
I
a
gave you a
tube of
script for that.
Yeah, and every time I travel,
And I will do that for them at the end of this.
I do that. Every time I travel, I do that, and since I started doing that, I never got sick.
Yeah, those are things.
It's incredible.
The other thing is, if you do have to cough or sneeze, we're all wearing short sleeves. You don't do it here.
That's
You
what
do
the
it
kids
here
all do,
or
cough
here
into
because
their-
if you do it on your hand,
You then touch someone.
I didn't realize this, but 81 times every 3 minutes,
you're touching your
doing this. I know I do it to my hair all the time, and people do it, and it can get into your eyes, and you rub your eye, and then it gets here. Remember, it's going to go in through the nose. Now
So
there's
you
some
carry it on your hands and then it gets
exactly,
in.
and that's one of the reasons that you want to avoid that kind of contact
Gotcha.
with your hands.
Okay.
So basically,
Great
then
stuff.
the alveoli fill up with liquid or inflamed, and then they can't.
They
you
can't do
breathe.
their
You can't
function
get the
of
oxygen.
filtering and getting oxygen in, CO2 out.
So the next one's quite interesting.
Wow.
An
This
X-ray of the
is,
lungs.
and what you see here on the first slide where it says normal.
Yeah.
The
Right.
black is a normal lung. It's radiolucent. That means you can see through it. It's not filled up with any kind of dense particle. The thing in the middle is the heart, and that's a normal heart because it's muscular tissue. Underneath are the diaphragms, and as you see the slide as you move over, you'll see that it starts to be more diffuse in terms of what happens in the lungs, and then you see all the way over to the other side where you see even more infiltration, and that impacts in a huge way where it could keep you from breathing adequately, it could keep you from ventilating, and then it starts impacting your heart.
Can we just go back for 1 second
Yes.
to the creams? People are asking the creams that you put in your
say the
nose.
names a little slower.
Is there something?
Over the counter polysporin,
Over the counter.
Polysporin,
bacitracin.
bacitracin.
Yes,
How do you
and
spell? Do you know how to spell bacitracin?
BACITRACIN.
Okay,
Poly
so
POLY sporin SPORIN.
Polysporin and bacitracin.
Right.
So you can buy those over the counter, put them on a Q-tip, and put a little
Just
bit
a
inside
white.
each
Put it in
nose.
every hour or
and
so.
I bet they're on the shelves like crazy. Nobody even knows.
Nobody
who
knows
they are.
what they are.
Again, this is something
can't
that
get
has
loo roll,
worked for
but-
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you're keeping that virus from embedding in the back of the throat. This test that we have right now sticks a Q-tip into your nose to the back of the throat where they live, and it checks the RNA against your RNA, and if they match, then you have it.
So that's why they're testing the back of the throat.
Correct, because that's where it lives. That's how it tracks down into the
So why doesn't
lungs.
gargling with like antiseptic or mouthwash or whatever kill
Well,
it?
you're
'Cause it doesn't
gargling
get
in
to
your
it.
mouth. It doesn't get up into that other area.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Doesn't reach.
Your neti pot may theoretically flush out the viral particles, but I mean that's an interesting
I
thing
neti
again
pot
that
all the
hasn't-
time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So what's this one? The treatment.
So overview of treatment.
Right. So I would just enjoin everybody to know the symptoms that start are classic symptoms of the flu. You're going to muscle aches and pains. You're going to feel a little strange. Everybody has gotten the flu, achy joints, and then that goes into a dry cough because it's in the back of the throat, and that dry cough is us attempting to expel something that's potentially irritating. We could have a dry cough from allergies.
Sure.
We got a dry cough.
Well, that's a good point, isn't it? Everything else that people get is still here.
Yeah, well, people freak out.
We have our water here.
Yeah.
Dry cough. And so the fever part of this, which is significant, ideally in medicine, anything over 100.4 is a fever. They're testing people anything over 99.7. Some metabolic rates on humans are higher, and they run high.
Right.
But as we have it today, if your fever is above 99.7, that's one of the clinical signs. Plus the fever associated with the muscle aches and joints, and then all of a sudden the cough. You have all that together, then that would be an indication to get tested. I want to also state that it's been put out there that it could start via the GI tract. You could have distension in your bowel, diarrhea. You could have an upset stomach, and that's also one of the precursors to this. Then it goes into the upper respiratory.
Wow.
So that's when you go to the ER. That's when you get tested.
Yeah. So what do you do when you say get tested? What do people do if they've got these symptoms?
If you have these symptoms and you're following the protocols that we all have, and you're washing your hands and you're bleaching or ammonia or peroxide, those are things to wipe counters with: ammonia, bleach, peroxide, and you could get those.
Even peroxide, huh?
Even peroxide. Gotcha. You can get those. You don't need 300 gallons of that stuff. You don't want to get into the whole compassion fatigue. Remember that.
Right.
And so you're doing everything, and you have those symptoms. You go to the emergency rooms. You could get tested, and the test will take at least 24 hours, sometimes longer, and then they'll let you know. If the symptoms progress, if you're at that point when you get to the ER, they'll keep you there.
Right.
Yeah.
The interesting thing to note is that this goes quickly. So everybody needs to know the symptoms. Everybody needs to know what to do so they could avoid it getting into the point where it's on that side, and you want to flatten this out.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's talk about that actually, because this is the spread, isn't it?
this is a couple of weeks ago data from the World Health Organization. It's a huge thing. It's super important. And you can see there where we circled in red, in Europe now, which is the epicenter, and then in America, the percentage growth is so rapid. Remember, January 21st, 2 months ago, we had one case. Now in the United States, we have a reported testing over 16,000, close to 16,000.
And I was amazed overnight. It goes like 30 or 40% overnight. Boom.
It's incredible. But we've only had...
To be clear, there are people who've been tested to have it. So there's probably
Correct.
others.
That's
who
how we
haven't
know.
been tested.
That's how we know.
Right.
There's going to be more test
Confirmed
kits available.
cases.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Only 200, roughly 18 deaths, depending what you want to read. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And we also know
200 out of 16,000.
218 to 10 to put it out of 16,000 roughly to this very day. And where do I get this information? CDC, World Health Organization, BBC, which is fairly reliable and objective through the European Union. So it's an interesting thing.
And when you say it's not that bad, you're saying in comparison to what the death rate is from the flu or other things.
to other countries.
We've already had over 10,000 die from the flu to date.
Oh, I think
here in the United States,
60,000. I think it was. I think it was 60,000. I mean, but it's when we say
But this is exploding,
relative.
isn't it?
It's
we're
relative.
looking forward to. I
Right.
think that's why people are worried.
Yeah, I think
they're nervous that this may get to the point
So
because it
talk
spreads
about
so
flattening
fast.
the curve, Roddy, because I think this is probably where we could all do something, right? I mean, this is where we can come in as an empowered living community, where we can do our bit, right?
Right.
Yeah, on the left side here, that steep curve is worst case scenario, and underneath it is best case scenario. And how is it best case? Everything that we're doing, and unfortunately in many places we're forced to do, but that's because people don't want to listen. We are keeping a social distance, we are wiping things down, we are hydrating, we're doing everything we can to make this flatten out, and I believe it'll work.
It's interesting. It's not panicking that flattens the curve, though, is it? It's good practices. It's good practices.
That's a great point.
You don't need to worry about it. You just need to implement safe practices and keep doing them to make them habitual.
Well, I mean, the science behind it is the first step to failure is losing your focus.
Yeah,
that's been proven, evidence-based. So if we lose our focus, if we lose our focus with everything we've talked about in terms of what we want to do, then we're on the side of failure. But we're not that way. Like I keep saying, we're a can-do people. We've already proven. We need to look and see what we've already done and what we've passed through and focus on that.
Well, in terms of what we can do, people are asking, do we need to clean our houses repeatedly? If we've been quarantining, do we need to keep cleaning our houses?
I would clean your homes. I would clean your homes with peroxide ammonia bleach, wipe down the counters. You're going to be eating. You're going to be going out and getting food and bringing it home.
Yeah.
So you're introducing cardboard, paper things all
and
the time.
Those airborne drops could potentially be alive for 3 or 4 hours on surfaces. Some people...
sometimes days, they say.
Well, they say, but on a whole 3 or 4 hours, some people have reported more than 3 or 4 hours. So again, there's a lot out there. So yes, wipe things down, keep the social distance, be careful about the touching. Be careful about touching.
How about those aerosol, like Lysol, where it kills 99% of germs? Spraying a doorknob, spraying a light switch.
That's fine. That's fine. But I mean, that's it's a lot easier and cheaper to do bleach.
Right.
Ammonia. And
what about washing your hands? Peroxide. Is that as good as using alcohol, gels? And
washing your hands is excellent. It's like a neti pot for your hands, right?
And you taught me, it's like you're saying the alphabet. It's like there's a proper way to wash your hands.
Right. We wash our hands in surgery like 5 to 7 minutes for a scrub, and then at least 3 to 5. But I mean, they're saying 20 seconds.
Yeah, 25.
20 seconds is a long time for most people.
Yeah, I mean, hold your breath for 20 seconds and see. Yeah.
If you could do it, I suggest if you could wash your hands at the beginning of the day for a minute while you're listening to Paul and Roddy, so that'd be
quality
fine.
information.
Watch it for a whole minute, and then again, do that throughout the day. Yeah. You'll be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So basically, keep calm.
And wash your hands.
And keep away from people.
Yeah,
social distance.
Now let me just ask you. You know where I live. Fine for me to go out to the beach?
No, it's closed.
Well,
you're not allowed on the beach.
My beach.
The reason why they closed the beaches in Florida is because we had a lot of spring break kids.
But I mean, people who are at home, can they go to their backyard? Can they sit on their deck?
You could go outside. You could walk around. People are running. You could. The main thing is we're keeping within
you gotta walk the dog
3 feet of each other.
Yeah. So I mean, you can get out of your house. Okay, you're quarantined, but like if you and your kids want to take a walk down the street, as long as you're distanced from other people, you're good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is vinegar an effective cleaning solution? People are asking.
Not as significant as the ammonium, bleach, and peroxide.
Okay. So it works, but it's not.
Acetic acid is vinegar. It does kill bacteria, but it's plus or minus with the viral particles. So I use the things that have been proven.
What about a vitamin regime or something? Is there something simple that people could be taking? Is it more important to have vitamins?
Vitamin. That means
I'd say vitamins. We say vitamins.
Yeah.
So is vitamins? I always hear vitamin C. It helps you stop getting cold.
Zinc, echinacea.
Or eat onions. Stops you getting cold.
Again, a lot of these things are anecdotal.
Yeah. What's the facts, Doc?
I would say what I've told my patients, as you mentioned before, oil of oregano with olive leaf extract. Oil of oregano is a natural antibiotic, and it naturally kills viruses. And you could. I've been taking that 2 pills 2 to 3 times a day with a meal.
What about vitamin C?
Vitamin C has had some amazing results all across the board with high doses, but there's only so much you could take without upsetting your stomach.
Yeah.
So, are people with asthma considered high risk for this?
People at high risk are people that have had pulmonary issues. Asthma is one of them. People, they should use their ventilator at least twice a day. Their ventilator, their inhaler, the ventilator.
Because that opens up the alveoli.
Yeah, my brother is one of those people that he has asthma. Immune compromised people that have
diabetics
take drugs for the kidney transplant, things like that. Diabetics, hypertensives, people with that have COPD in their issues with their lungs, and people that have heart problems, all at risk.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just
give us. We got just
so
a couple
5 minutes. Any more questions, ladies?
So just a couple. Just before we go, you teach just a real simple, just like how do you calm your mind, kind of breathing kind of exercise. What's something like if you feel yourself at home and you're feeling just tense and
if your awareness,
if you catch yourself a little bit over edge, what can we do? What's a breathing exercise that you do?
It's been proven. It's not something that I've created, but it's been around for, and you've heard me lecture on it. You close your eyes. You basically, in and out of your nose, you breathe in on the count of 4, and you breathe out on the count of 5. 4 and 5, and you keep doing that, and that is one way to calm the brain, the voice that talks to you in the shower.
What's the science behind that? What's it do to the?
It actually calms the limbic system. It calms the excitatory system, and it stops that flow from the amygdala to the frontal lobe where it's fight or flight. It stops all that, and that's been proven. You could also take your pulse. You take your pulse and go for it and just focus on that. These are all biofeedback techniques, and that kind of brings you back down. And whoever is the leader in the family, especially if you have children, you need to calm yourself down first, and then bring that awareness to everybody else around you, because if it stems from you.
Yeah, sure.
Keep your focus. It's important. We're in it together.
Hold your image, and we're going to get through this. I mean, we're absolutely going to get through this, and it's going to be messy, and I think there's going to be lots of time to blame people and point fingers at people, but I really do believe I believe Democrats, I believe Republicans are all doing their very best. I believe every senator in Congress and governor is doing their very best. I think our medical field is doing their very best. I think our military is doing. I think our business sector. I think everybody is really doing their best.
Put it together, yeah.
And we got to just what we've got to do is be good subjects here at this point in time. And
we have more issues that unite us than separate us.
That's right.
Some quick questions. 2-second answers. Can you touch on the importance of hydration or not? Does that make a difference?
That's always a good idea. Yeah, staying hydrated.
Yeah. Hydration is super important. Absolutely.
Okay.
And that means water, not beer.
Yeah. Oh. And is it water's the best way to hydrate, right?
100%.
100%.
But it's an ongoing thing. It's a regularly drinking all the time. It takes a long time to take effect.
Of these,
8 to 10 of those a day.
Really?
That means you're urinating every hour or two.
8 to 10 of those.
That's a great way to flush things from your system. 100%.
Is Florida tap water okay?
Oh, sure.
I mean, water's water. You know.
From a hydration perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are best practices if you still have to go to work? Everything we've talked about: wash your hands, social distancing.
If you're a first responder like I am, you get one of those 95 masks and wear that. So, and also people that have any issues should wear one of those masks. They'll be made available soon to everybody. And keep your distance again. And remember, do not get to the point where you're this close to somebody. Stay that distance.
Well, one of the things that I know I've been doing, I live a mile from here, and we come here, we are really practicing. I think we're doing a really good job. But one of the things I do is I use these Lysol wipes, and as soon as I get in the car, I wipe the steering wheel, and I wipe the radio thing where I might touch. I make sure I wipe my keys.
Right. And your phone.
One of the things I've also done is I've stopped wearing any jewelry so that I don't have places.
Germ traps.
And then I wash. So your car, you touch your car, your steering wheel, you sneeze or you cough on your car.
Right.
You don't think about that, right? You cough, you sneeze, and then you're holding it, and then you rub your eye before you get out of your car, and now you've done it. And I think also it's important. Just that, when you're handling money or your credit card and you hand it to somebody's going to hand it back to you.
Yeah.
Just keep
your hands are. Remember, we cleaned our hands for 6 hours. We're good.
Yeah.
So no matter what we have, that's good. People could have the same thing. You can make your own Purell. You make your own. You could get isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, 75%. 18% or so you could estimate with aloe vera, and then oil of lavender.
Jen
Oil of
over at
lavender.
Tim's doing that.
All that acts even better than the
Jen
Okay,
is on our team.
tell us again. 75% of rubbing
alcohol, and you can get a lot of that. It's available.
Yes, cheap.
Aloe vera.
20% of aloe vera.
Yeah, let's say 20% aloe vera, and then any oil of lavender is a good oil to put in there. That
All of those are on the
oil?
shelves at CVS. Every single one of those
yes,
things.
and you could order them as well. So
Yeah, all those things. Yeah.
People are going mad with questions. We might have to do another.
Well, you know what?
Do a
You know
dial-in.
what we
We'll
could
have
do?
to have you back.
If you're available tonight, maybe Harry could join us on the call tonight. If you're, I don't know if you're available, but
we could.
or
That could be available.
if we don't do it tonight, we do maybe
We'll
one other night.
schedule
We'll
it
bring you on.
sometime soon. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
but
tonight or
then you know
otherwise.
what's good is that this has added value to you, and again the whole purpose. And we were very concerned that we could get into this and we could scare you or be considered fear mongers, and we're not that. We are trying to, as my CEO Mark Cole is, kind of instructed and guided and led all of us, is we're trying to be a voice of hope to everybody. And I think we've done that on this call, right? Let's be a voice of hope. Let's be leaders. Let's model it. Let's be good stewards.
Yeah.
And let's encourage other people. And for goodness sake, if you know somebody, hey, reach out to other people. Call people. Let them know you care about them. Especially if you got some elderly people. If you know some single moms out there, check in on them. And let's just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
It's a great time for us to do that. And
Including
there's real power in gratitude and kindness, isn't there?
This is God's way of giving us a timeout to look at ourselves.
Well, hey, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Virtual high five.
Yeah, love you. Love all of you. Hey, I'll see you tonight at whatever time Heather, Holly, Susan, and Jennifer say I'm going to be here. They'll put it in the comments. I'll be here, and maybe this guy will be here. I don't know.
If not, sometime soon.
If not, sometime soon for him. But
yeah.
definitely tonight I'm here.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get the Greek here. All right.
Take care, guys.
Be well.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.